Today, we're doing the touching story of a teenage space alien meets girl, falls in love, and is pursued by a teenage space alien serial killer. That's right, it's Teenagers from Outer Space from 1959. This movie starts out with a guy in an observatory observing space. Thinks he sees something, so he calls over Vladimir Lenin. Why they let a guy dress up on film like Vladimir Lenin in the 50s, I don't know, but he tells him he's wasting too much time staring into space. And then the ship lands and everybody gets out. There's one adult. And this ship must have been a clown ship because it clearly does not look like it could fit 6 people and all the equipment they got out. But everybody seems to climb out of it okay. Then they shoot a dog, disintegrate his skin, and is left only bones. Our lead hero, Derek, goes over to the disintegrated dog, bone skeleton person, disintegrated dog, whose skeleton remains, and finds its collar tag. As they are testing the elements of Earth to see if the Gargan can stay on Earth and be raised. Derek says that the tag is proof of intelligent life on Earth and holds them hostage with a ray gun, saying that the Gargan can't be raised here, and says that he's got a book that proves that families are the key to survival. Well, the leader of the crew asks if he can see the book and disarms Derek and orders his top man, Thor, who is the psychopath, who is our villain later, to hold Derek hostage. And they get out the Gargan, which looks like a lobster, to see if it'll thrive. It initially kind of doesn't, but then it does. So they order it put in a cave and chained up. Thor goes to help someone put away some equipment, and Derek escapes. We then find out that Derek is the son of the leader of the planet, though he never knew his parents. So sad, so sad. Kind of like Bruce Wayne. Wait, he knew his parents and his parents died. So Thor is ordered to hunt him down while the rest of them go report back to the home planet that the Gargans will thrive on Earth. How Derek gets to town, they don't show. But he goes to town and some children stare at him, like children do at everybody. And it shows Thor getting to town. He gets picked up by a nice man in a car and then proceeds to badger him with questions about how a car works. Derek then asks a nice man at a gas station how to read the tag to him. The man does and instructs him how to get to the house, where a room is for rent, and he meets Betty and Betty's grandpa renting the room. They ask him if he's there for the room, and he replies he is. They show him the room and immediately invite him to rent the room. Betty is smitten with him. Smitten like crazy. She's got the love bug for Derek. Then Joe, the reporter, comes up and says he can't take Betty to Allison's to swim. So Betty invites Derek and takes the car to go to Allison's to swim. While Thor goes to the gas station, meets the gas station attendant who he threatens to kill if he doesn't tell him where Derek went. And then proceeds to kill him and the guy driving the car. I told you this guy's a total psycho. And then takes the car to the house. And Betty's grandpa tells him they went to Allison's and tells him where Allison lives. At Allison's, Derek explains the real reason why he went there and shows the dog tag to Betty. Betty asked Derek to take her to Sparky the dog. And they leave, but only after they go by the house, and so Betty can change out of her swimsuit. So Betty is kind of hot in that swimsuit. Allison is really hot in the swimsuit. There's no nudity in this movie because it was made in 1959, and they didn't put nudity in movies in '59. So they go, and Derek explains the disintegrator ray to to Betty. Betty. And explains that is her dog that is the skeleton there. Betty is crushed. Meanwhile, Thor gets to Allison's and demands Allison tell them where Betty and Derek went. Allison refuses and threatens to call the cops. And then Thor disintegrates her. Betty and Derek then go back home and say they're going to the college to see a scientist so they can explain to a scientist what's going on. And call Grandpa and explain that they're going to college to see a head of the science department. Thor stops by the house to ask Grandpa where they went. Grandpa tells them, because Grandpa is apparently Thor's accomplice in this movie. So Thor arrives while Betty and Derek are waiting in the parking lot and disintegrates the head of the science department. He disintegrates a lot of people in this movie. So Betty and Derek realize this and take off running to the city hall to hide with the police. Thor goes back to the house and demands to know where Betty and Davis are from Grandpa. Grandpa says they went to City Hall and told him to go to City Hall too. So Thor makes his way to City Hall with Grandpa. And City Hall, the police are waiting. And there's a shootout. Thor is injured, but Thor disintegrates like 2 or 3 cops in the process. And then Thor demands Betty and Derek take him to a doctor, where he disintegrates the doctor. No, I'm just kidding. He doesn't disintegrate the doctor. He doesn't disintegrate any more people in this movie. I guess there's too many disintegrations already. But no, the doctor takes the bullets out of Thor and leaves Thor wounded and passed out on the floor. Well, Betty, Derek, and the doctor go back to City Hall to tell the police where Thor is. Meanwhile, the doctor's nurse comes in and cleans up Thor's wounds, and then Thor kidnaps the nurse. Thor is just a psycho in this movie. He is just completely over the top of psycho. And it's hilarious. I'm telling you, this movie is a comedy because Thor is just completely over the top psycho. So he kidnaps the nurse and demands she take him back to his ship. Well, the ship isn't there. Meanwhile, Joe and this other cop go down to where Sparky is. And the cop goes in the cave where the Gargan is. And the Gargan eats the cop. Joe runs, and then Thor and the nurse get there. Thor shoots at the nurse. No, Thor shoots at Joe, and Joe leaves, and there's a high-speed chase. This movie's pure action, except for the love scenes and the comedy bits about Thor just shooting everything in sight. So Thor is about to pass out. Nurse hightails it out of a car, jumps out of a car. Thor goes over a cliff. No explosion, though. I'm afraid the movie couldn't afford that. But Thor is injured, and the police do arrest him. But Joe reports that there's a giant monster on the loose. So Derek and Betty go down to find a disintegrator gun from where the accident was. And Betty reveals to Derek that she knows he's from space, but she loves him anyways. And Derek promises that he will never leave Earth. They find a disintegrator gun, but it doesn't work. And then the kaiju giant monster Gargan that looks like a floating giant lobster is killing people all the time and getting closer to the city. But Derek can't fix the broken disintegrator gun, so he has an idea. He'll cut lines from an electrical pole, hook it to the disintegrator gun, and shoot the Gargan. And it works after they overpower the electrical system. And then Derek knows what he has to do. He kidnaps Joe with the broken disintegrator gun, but Joe doesn't know it's broken. Picks up Thor and goes to meet the ship. Betty goes there because she just likes to go where danger is, apparently, with Grandpa. And Joe and Derek finally meets his father. He doesn't seem too thrilled about it. I mean, if I was meeting my dad for the first time, I'd be kind of happy. I'd be like, Dad, give him a big hug. Be like, Dad, can I have $5? You know, for all those allowances you didn't give me. But no, he doesn't seem thrilled about it. But his dad is like, I'm glad, because Dad is the leader. And his dad is like, I'm glad you came back to our side. And then Derek is like, can I help land hundreds of ships bring Gargan to the planet? And Derek tricks him. He locks the ship up, crashes all the ships in the planet, killing all the aliens, all the teenagers from outer space, and himself. That is the end of the movie. It is a thrilling movie filled with murder, intrigue, love, skeletons, lots and lots of skeletons. If you want to see skeletons, watch this movie. And it has the greatest thing ever. Teenagers from outer space. This movie is on Tubi, it's on YouTube, it's on Freevee, probably on a couple others that I don't know about. I think it's a public domain movie, so go watch it. Teenagers from Outer Space. Go watch it. Tubi, YouTube, Freevee. Go watch it. It's a good movie. 14 out of 10 stars.